name is Roberta, and I'm the head of Startup Lithuania, a national startup ecosystem facilitator. It's an honor for me to participate here in your event. And let me introduce who is representing science. Hi. Hello. Can you hear us? We have some problems with the internet. Hello, do we have to go further? Can you hear us? Ah, okay, thanks. So I've just introduced Arune, who is working with a very interesting project, GovTech. Hello, Arune.
Hi.
We also have here Tautvydas, who is a representative from Lithuanian Innovation Center. Hi, Tautvydas.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. We also have Thomas, our investor from venture capital Iron Wolf Capital. Hello, Thomas.
Hi.
Hi. And another investor representing co-investment fund, Jonas. Hello, Jonas.
Hello.
And we also have here my colleague from Startup Lithuania, Sigita. Hello, Sigita.
Hello, everyone.
So that's our panelists today, and we would like to present you our lively, thriving startup ecosystem in Lithuania, what it could offer for startups of Azerbaijan, why we think that it could be a great entry point to Europe. We will talk about this and discuss it a little bit later. So at the moment, we count more than 1,000 startups in Lithuania. In the previous years, our ecosystem developed really rapidly. We even have the first unicorn startup called Vinted. Our startups attracted more than 170 million euros investments last year, and the growth of investments reached plus 135%. And even this COVID situation and quarantine didn't affect our startups much, as what we see that their sales revenues rise. And even investment field was quite active, and we had more than 34 investment deals this year. We have really well-developed infrastructure for startups, a bunch of hubs, co-working places, science and technology parks, different governmental institutions helping startups, different incentives, a bunch of active venture capital funds, Lithuanian Business Angel Network, which is working and investing actively already the third year. So ecosystem is really lively, really a lot of good things are happening here. If to talk about the country itself, so Lithuania ranks number 4th in global fintech index. So we have a special sandbox by Bank of Lithuania for fintech startups, special legislations and newcomers programs. So our country is really famous and a good place for fintech startups, but not only for those. And what else? Maybe we can move to our panelists and to hear a little bit more from them. What is also important for startups that Lithuania have really a big pool of talents, a lot of people with higher education, with tech education, more than 90% of young specialists fluently speak English, and 50% of them fluently speak at least 2 languages. So we have a great talent pool, a great quality of life, and it's much cheaper to live in Lithuania than, for example, in another European country. So we really believe that it's a great place for your startup to enter European markets, to reach more than 500 million population and to scale from here. So let's talk more from the perspective of other ecosystem players, what they could offer startups from Azerbaijan or any other country, because we are really open ecosystem, and we already have a multinational startup ecosystem, and even great names, big startups, scale-ups have chosen Lithuania for their being, for the developing, like Booking.com, Revolut, Mambo. So let's move to Tautvydas. Could you please tell us a little bit more about Lithuanian Innovation Center? What could you offer startups, and how could startups from Azerbaijan benefit from Lithuanian Innovation Center and your services?
Of course. Thank you. So, hello everyone. Lithuania Innovation Center, which I represent, is a innovation support organization. It's a public organization which is open for any kind of SMEs or startups. And the main goal of our organization is to convert inventions into innovations, and then to help those scale up and grow those innovations into successful business and successful companies. And we are giving various kind of services and advices for the companies who wants to be engaged in this kind of bumpy road. So first of all, we are helping them to connect businesses, connect to the universities, to get some kind of science knowledge, how it could be adapted to their market. Also, we are advising companies how to commercialize these kind of ideas, innovative ideas. We are helping them to find relevant partners that could be good friends for them in that really bumpy road of innovations. And also we are seeing that lots of companies in Lithuania are struggling with innovation management, with the commercialization point. So we're helping them with that either. And we as Lithuania Innovation could be like a gateway for Lithuanian companies, and also for the foreigners who want to open a company or startup in Lithuania to act as a gateway to the whole Europe or the whole Western world, in order to connect them with other innovative companies or people, or with the science institutions or other entities who just could offer a really beneficial for both sides, cooperation, which would be beneficial for every side. And also we could help to connect those foreign companies or Lithuanian companies with the other members of the community, because we coordinate various type of clusters, like food cluster, wellness cluster. Also, we're cooperating with the robotics cluster. So in case your startup has some kind of technological solution or idea how you can cooperate with different kind of sectors, we can help you with that in Lithuania. And I think that we are struggling with the connection. So what I didn't mention else is that we can also could help for the startups to find a relevant funding for them, because we are working with public funding institutions as well in Lithuania and as well in European level, so we can pick up the right funding source for their idea and the level of the technological level of their innovation or company. So that's the main points of our services that we are providing for startups either in Lithuania or in other countries.
Since Roberta has some issues with the connection, I will try to help her. And later on, so what would you, Aruna, tell us about GovTech Lab? Roberta, sorry, I'm trying to help in this case and inviting Aruna to present the GovTech Lab, which was presented to, reason the collaboration between governmental institutions and find the way how to work for startups and these governmental institutions. So please, Aruna.
Thank you. Thanks, Sigita, and thank you, Roberta, for inviting us here. So GovTech Lab is a team in public sector that basically seeks to connect public sector challenges, tech challenges, digital challenges with startups or other innovative companies that might have either ideas or already solutions that could be used to solve them. So what we do is and why we even created this GovTech Lab was because on the one hand, we have many startups and entrepreneurs in Lithuania that try to find the ways they can create a profitable startup, but also have that kind of social mission or public purpose in mind. And we already have very successful examples of that, like Trafi, that expanded worldwide. At the same time, we have public sector that has many challenges and issues that are very interesting to solve. Not all of these challenges, some of these challenges could be found in other organizations as well, but some are very unique to public sector. And, to match the needs of the kind of 21st century citizen, you need to keep up with the innovation that could be provided by the startups. So the idea was to open up the public sector that's usually not very flexible or seen as a kind of potential client of a startup to startups and innovative companies, and create a process through which they can do that. So we created this process called GovTech Challenge Series, where we kind of in batches try to solve different challenges. We are now, we just finished the second iteration of this. So in the first and the pilot GovTech Challenge Series, we had only one challenge. And now for the second one, we just finished with 9 challenges and 9 solutions. And what we try to do during the challenge series, we help public sector define the challenge, to find the challenges that are actually interesting for startups to solve, that they can be used as kind of a kickoff for a scalable product, not just a one-time solution. And then when we have an open call for startups and companies, it will select the one that will go through together with public sector institutions intensive 10-week accelerator. So we help them kind of co-create these GovTech solutions. And for startups, that's an opportunity to find and get that expertise, the first-hand expertise, the data, and test their solutions so they can have that check that, it's actually working. And for public sector, that's an opportunity to kind of acknowledge that some of the very complex technological challenges could be solved in the public sector. And we're open to startups from around the world. Around half of the applications that we had this year, were from companies from abroad, with help of Lithuanian Innovation Center as well. They helped us a lot with trying to get that companies from abroad. And we had 1 out of 9. One of the startups was actually Scottish startup that kind of continued very successful cooperation with Lithuanian public sector agency. So that's kind of very quickly what we do. We basically trying to match that need of public sector to innovate, and then the desire from the entrepreneur side, from the startup side, to create solutions that might solve these public or social challenges.
Thank you, Aruna. I want to remind our audience that you can ask questions in the comment area, and after our presentations, we will try to answer them. So let's move to the most interesting part for startups. Tell us a little bit more about venture capital situation in Lithuania, about your fund, what startups are you looking for, what you offer, and something similar, how maybe startups from Azerbaijan could approach you.
Roberta, you referred to me?
Yes.
Because it was stuck. Okay. Hi, everyone. So Wire on Wolf Capital Fund, 21 million, plan to invest in 20 companies. Currently, we have 9 in our portfolio, but it's just the beginning. So we always in the hunt for the good startups who are capable as rabbits to run fast, to run all across the Europe, then to run all across the US, the globe. So if you feel that your inner energy is quite strong and you're ready to run fast, then we are happy to take a look at you. And our phase, what we're look at in the team, there is a strong founding team who have an experience in that field in which they're developing startup. You already have product or at least MVP, and you have some traction. Yeah, the best, of course, it would be that you would try to have it not only in Azerbaijan, but you would try some digital methods, especially those days it became much more easy as companies before wanted to have a feel and touch. Now more and more companies are capable to do their buying decisions remotely, and it becomes a new normal. So we would like that you have some traction or revenues outside Azerbaijan and have a view how your go-to-market strategy would look and why our investment is needed. So anyone who is interesting and matching those criteria, feel free to approach us.
Thanks, Thomas. And Jonas, you represent very interesting fund, co-investment fund, which invests together with business angels. It's really interesting model and gives more possibilities for startups. Could you tell us a little bit more about your funds?
Sure thing. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonas Vitkauskas. I represent Co-Invest Capital. We are an early stage venture capital fund with a primary goal of investing alongside private investors or the so-called business angels, hence the name of the fund, Co-Invest. We are a generalist fund, therefore not limited by an industry. However, there are some industries in which we could not invest due to our requirements. These are industries such as weapon production or vices, such as gambling, tobacco, or the hard liquor. We structure deals including at least 3 business angels, which are physical or legal persons, or venture capital or private equity funds that are not backed by public money. We contribute up to 70% of the total investment round, which on average, in our case, is somewhere between 300 and 400,000 euros. We are unique in a way that we cap our return at 6% annual compounded interest rate. And in the event of a successful exit or liquidity event, we transfer the excess funds to the investors of the same investment round that we invested in. So basically, our value add is leveraging the expertise and experience of the business angels. And what we seek is high growth, go-to-market stage companies. So far, we have made investments in 15 companies, ranging from food and beverages production to medical technologies, and artificial intelligence marketing solutions. We have more than 120 business angels in the approved list of our private investors. Their experience is really wide, from financial sectors to production, to retail, and so on. From our experience, in order to be successful in raising funding, the startup should meet the standards of our fund, which include but are not limited to having broad expertise in the industry in which you start a new company. Of course, have a problem solution fit that is already more or less proven. Have a business model which we can test, and of course be more or less investment ready. And as I've mentioned, I think we are similar to other VC funds in the region, that we prefer the go-to market stage with some proven early traction. In this way, the startup can substantially increase their chances of successful fundraising. So thank you all for listening. And if you have further questions or you want to contact us, you can go to coinvest.lt or shoot us an email at info@coinvest.lt. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonas. So to be very clear and simple, if I'm a startup and I find two business angels that want to invest, let's say 10,000 euros, so I can expect to get 10,000 plus from co-investment fund.
In very simplified terms, yes.
So like a startup can think about doubling his investment.
Yes, or have an even higher leverage. Yes.
Great. Thanks a lot. When I was lost somewhere in internet, I haven't heard if Tautvydas mentioned their great expertise in EU funding, grants and different programs. Have you talked a little bit about that, or maybe you can tell us a little bit more, that you really consult and help startups to reach EU funding?
Yeah, so I'm just mentioned in a general way that we're helping with public funding, but as you mentioned, the EU grants are open for the startups in Lithuania also, and there are plenty opportunities right now. About 30 calls open for the innovators from the EU to apply for different kind of topics, from VR applications to new internet solutions, and etc. And I would say those calls are a great advantage for the foreign startups that would be consider Lithuania as their destination, because usually those grants are given for the cooperation between two partners from different countries. So pretend that you are coming from other European country or non-European country, and you already know that ecosystem, you're connected with them. And so if you just establish a new startup in Lithuania, then it's a lot easier for you to find a partner from other country that would be willing to connect with you on that partnership opportunity, and could get some kind of grant from 20 to 100,000 euros from EU funds. So I think that this kind of opportunity really attract many startups, and it could be also great opportunity for startups that see Lithuania as their destination.
Yes, thank you. I think we've listed a lot of things why Lithuania could be a great entry point, not just because of the lively ecosystem, great work-life balance, but also for the things that we've mentioned, investments, funding, EU funding waiting here, and governmental help, possibility of cooperation even with governmental institutions. And we even have some special ways created for startups to enter Lithuania and to open companies here. And Sigita, could you tell us a little bit more about our startup visa program?
So hello everyone once again, and yes, of course I can tell a little bit more about, so maybe I will just say a few words about Startup Lithuania, who we are and what we do in general in our ecosystem. So we call ourselves a facilitator of WoW Lithuanian startup ecosystem, and let's say we build bridges between startups, investors, governmental institutions, other stakeholders, corporates, and so on and so forth. As you can see, today we also gathered governmental institutions, investors, and other players. So this is what we do basically, and this is how we can help startups to engage a Lithuanian startup ecosystem better. So we do a lot of routine things, and maybe I will not stop on all these events and pre-acceleration programs and boosting the awareness. Let's talk about the startup visa, which is maybe the hottest topic today. So is it possible to come to Lithuania somehow and establish here the business for the startup? Yes, you can take a standard way and go as a traditional business, but there are some loopholes in there, and you might need much more money to do that, and much more time to do that, and much more efforts as well. But this is why the Lithuanian government started and launched the Startup Visa program in 2017, because what we see from the startup life itself, that if you want to scale fast, sometimes you need to do it quite early, and you need the ways how to do that. So if we don't want to waste money on all these registration forms, notaries, I don't know, employing the employees from the day one, and so on and so forth. So this is what the Startup Visa program is all about. Basically, it was launched for non-EU startup founders, and it's quite simple. So they can just apply via startupvisalithuania.com. They are attending the video call, and this video call, it's kind of very good opportunity for startups to understand what is going on, because it's not just for us to understand who are you, but it's also the way for us to help you and to give you some mentorship, how to prepare, how to make the information clearer, more proper to what we need and what we expect from the startup, especially when the application form goes to committee members, because they do not talk to you, they do not see you, and they must understand what you're doing just from application form. So our team is ready to help you and just pinpoint the like gray parts of application and prepare it properly. So after the video call, it goes to committee members, and if the evaluation is approved, then you receive the specific document which allows you to have this special legal grant for a location. What does it give, or maybe what are the benefits in comparison to traditional business ways of coming to Lithuania? So first of all, if the founders from abroad are coming to Lithuania and want to establish a business and get the temporary residence permit just to stay as much as they need in Lithuania to run their business, they must put into the company as initial capital 28,000 euros. It's quite a big amount. If you're coming via startup visa program, you need only 2,500, which is the simple, normal amount for any Lithuanian or European Union citizen owner company, joint stock company. Second thing, which is also very important for early stage startup, there is no requirement on employment from the day one, because traditional business owners, if they want to get this temporary residence permit, they must employ at least 2 Lithuanians or European Union citizens. There is no this requirement for the startups under the startup visa program. As well as what is very good, that the startup founders can bring the family members along with them. There is no additional needed requirement for their legal ground to come here. It's just a family reunion. As well as maybe one good thing from my experience, the help, consultations, and mentorship during the engagement process after you are coming to your location. So we consult on company establishment, we consult, where to go, what to do, how to approach our investors, and so on and so forth. We provide you access to all the events. And so there are, I would say, plenty of benefits. Just, talk to us. And if you're thinking about a relocation, feel free to just reach us out.
Thanks, Sigita. And we already have one question. Estonia and Lithuania. Startup founders asking, for me in Europe, for the startup ecosystem, there are 2 pioneering countries, Estonia and Lithuania. We would be very happy if you could tell us your competitive advantage in this regard. So maybe Sigita, you can start, and maybe others would have something to add.
Okay, so first of all, we are kind of, Baltic Italians, so we are more enthusiastic, more open in comparison to Estonians, as well as you might know that the competition is quite high in Estonia, because plenty of startups are just coming year after year. So I would say that Lithuanian startup ecosystem is not so penetrated yet, and there's a higher chances, just to come and have a bigger piece of the pie once you're coming to Lithuania. And I assume that my colleagues from other ecosystem players might also add their insights on this question.
Beer is better. Beer is better, and ladies also.
Thank you. Maybe Jonas, you could add something from investor point of view.
Well, as there's been mentioned in the beginning of this stream, we sure have a seriously evolved infrastructure, first of all, a large pool of talents in the fields that require a lengthy education. And I think these would be the most critical points which give us a serious points of advantage. I think that labor pool, which is really talented, and infrastructure, such programs as Startup Visa and others.
Thank you. I would add that we are really kind of similar countries, small countries with a strong ecosystem, big talent pool, a lot of startups, and you just have to choose what you love more. As Sigita mentioned, Estonia is much higher in the north. We're a little bit more in the south with those advantages that Thomas mentioned. Pretty girls and good beer, and maybe it's just you have to visit maybe both countries and choose where is better for you. And one more question regarding our startup fair 2021. So I'm really honored, flattered that you know our event. So Startup Fair is really main international startups event in Lithuania, which is being organized by Startup Lithuania every year. And this year, due to this situation, we had to move the event online as today's event. But I really hope, fingers crossed, that next year, maybe in the beginning of summer, we will be able to have a live event, at least locally live, and have online translations. So I believe that we will organize this event. Okay, one more question. Watching this panel, I just started researching about Startup Lithuania and read that you act as a bridge between the government, venture capital, accelerators, enterprises, etc. Isn't it difficult to balance communication and relation with such different spheres? How do you manage? So I can start answering, and maybe Sigita, as other representative from Startup Lithuania, could add something. So Lithuania is really a small country, and it's in a good way. It's easy to reach anyone. You can directly go to the investors, directly go to the Ministry of Economy or any other ministry, and talk about your problems and search for solutions. So it's really, this size of a company makes it much easier to communicate with each other. Sigita, maybe you have something to add?
So yes, if we're talking about, the ease of communicating with completely different players and completely different tones even. So I would say this is the case of our team, which has completely different skills, and we are kind of working together. Some of us can talk with migration departments, some of us can have this very good balance and connection with the venture capitalists. Some of us have also the quite close relationships with our supporting programs. So I would say the teamwork in our in Startup Lithuania as such is basically the top-notch thing why we can be this bridge building agency.
Of course, it's not always easy. But we're trying to do our best. And maybe each of you could share some success stories, if you have such, how foreign startups used your organizations or approached you for the investment or even got your investment. So any success stories and maybe some tips and tricks, suggestions for startups from Azerbaijan, how they could benefit from you. Maybe we can start with Aruna.
Yeah, sure. I mentioned as well at the beginning that this year we had one company out of 9 that went through our GovTech Challenge series that was from abroad. So we had a Scottish startup called Vistal Works, and basically they've been working with consumer rights protection agency on building this new product on how to automatically detect dangerous goods and dangerous products sold online that are officially banned in the EU, for instance, but they're still sold. So I would consider this as one of more successful cooperations in terms of in the GovTech Challenge series, and that was from both sides as well. But the startup, they work now already with Scottish government and Estonian government and some international organizations. So they had that international understanding of how governments work in general. And I think one of the also reasons why they were able to kind of connect well and deliver the solution was that they didn't come out of blue to just oh, I want to create the solution. They had the previous experiences of building products, for instance, to detect illicit goods and illicit fake copies of products that are sold online. So for them, that was kind of a natural transition or a new product, the pivot that they wanted to do. and also to prove that they really want to work with Lithuanian government in Scotland. They even hired I think 1 or 2 Lithuanian people there, because we have a quite big diaspora there, and they're you know, they were good data analysts and good like IT specialists, but for them that was kind of a double win, because they got a very good specialist in their team, and then they also had someone to communicate with in Lithuanian, for instance, with the agency. Although I have to admit that more and more even public sector organizations are able to communicate very freely in English, and we even had our demo day all in English. So both public sector institutions had to pitch their challenge in English, and startups. So that's definitely not a big problem. So now they're both the public sector organization and the team. They're moving towards the procurement stage. So I don't want to say that, you know, it's a complete success yet. We'll see if that kind of moves on into the specific, you know, contracts or anything. But you know, I think especially in the GovTech field, it's still very new to even cooperate with startups for public sector organizations. And they have been doing that very successfully, with already building kind of that new pilot solution, and considering moving into like testing and moving into procurement. So I think that's one of the most successful cases in terms of GovTech field.
Thank you. Tautvydas, maybe you have some success stories from with foreign startups, non-EU startups, and how they won something from your services and collaboration?
Yeah, so I think the biggest number of startups, foreign startups that benefited from our services are those who are searching for some kind of partner in Lithuania or some kind of technology which could be applicable in their own company. So we having many of these kind of success cases, but also I would like to mention the cases when startups really came to Lithuania from third countries, established here a new entity, and started a venture here with the concept that they developed in another country. So one of those, it's the example how our ecosystem is really collaborating, as Startup Lithuania sent for a consultancy one startup from a third country to us, and we just checked their innovation, how they are going to develop it, and thought of the ways how they can scale with it. And we saw that for this particular startup, the sky is the limit, and the very, very big European funds could be open. So they weren't considering too much. And in I think 2-3 weeks, they relocated their company into Lithuania. First of all, they are trying to apply to Lithuanian funds, but while they're trying to apply for Lithuanian funds, there's some a little barrier for them, because on those applications could be applied and submitted only in Lithuanian languages. So in here, regarding the national funds, you have to find a Lithuanian partner or get an employee for there as well. There's a consultants who are helping on that. But what if those foreigners want to apply for European funds? It's everything is in English, so it's very easy, and we do not separate our clients whether they are foreigners or not, because if they have established a company in Lithuania, they're all welcome and open for the same opportunities as Lithuanian startups.
Thank you, Thomas. I know that your fund has invested in startups from abroad. Maybe you could share your success stories and some tips for startups, how to get investors' money.
Just do the product which customers loves, and it's very easy. Yeah, if you do good product or in your category better than your competitors, and have an ambition to win, then as I say, then you are very much welcome. Yeah, so it's very easy. Yeah, and we're looking if you are really passionate about the problem you're solving, you know, or on the first stone which you're gonna meet on the way, you're gonna give up. So for us, that determination and energy level is very much important, and we look at the startup. So not much to add, really. I think if you're a great startup, the only thing what I want maybe to add is that going to Europe, yeah, especially with Lithuania, startup Lithuania support, if they provide in terms of giving visa or even, you know, helping with the first capital and employment, I think this is something for you to consider, because then it opens the door for all European Union, yeah, to be treated differently by also London or Berlin or other big countries investors, because you already made the step of you know, going out of the comfort zone, out of your home, and understanding and established in the country who is the part of European Union. So I think it's important. So I encourage everyone who are considering, instead of considering, just start doing it.
Thanks. Jonas, maybe you have something to add. I think probably a Co-Invest fund can invest only in Lithuanian companies, or foreign startups can also apply only when they have entered in Lithuania. Could you tell us a little bit more in this field?
Yeah, so our requirements require us to invest only in the startups or companies which 50% of the benefits generated by the investment flow to the Republic of Lithuania. So in simpler terms, these are the taxes paid, revenue generated, and newly formed job places. Of course, we are still in the middle of building our portfolio. However, I could say that we are very much open to the thought of working with foreign startup founders. We usually invest mostly into the team, and the team is usually never a solo person performance. So there's a few people in the team, and diversity is always a good thing because we live in an ever more globalizing world. So having more and broader perspective on things would be mostly viewed as a plus, and the industry team fit would be graded probably better if we had a multinational founders team. I can only say that.
Okay, thank you. Sigita, could you tell us maybe some success stories from Startup Visa startups? I know that we have about 60 startups that relocated through the whole period when we have this program. How are they doing? Have they benefited from being here in Lithuania?
Okay, so I think everyone knows that startups are startups and sometimes they fail, but what I am especially proud about to tell about Startup Visa program startups that, yes, of course, some of them were not so successful, but on the other hand, we have exits, we have investments, and quite a large investments. For example, MPT Pay, which came this year. Well, actually, they established their company this year in Lithuania, and now they are negotiating with the Bank of Lithuania on the licensing, as well as they opened the legal entity in UK, and they were invested. So fintechs are really willing to choose Lithuania, as well as, for example, we have SDK Finance, which story is completely different. They are not even trying to find the investments because they are successfully bootstrapping. And the number, I think they opened their company in Lithuania in late 2018, and last year we had like 6 signed numbers of revenue, and they are already, you know, like planning the perspective of next year. It's about a 7 number income, and as we can see, they are doing really great. And you know, the fintechs are not only who are thriving in Lithuania, as well as, for example, we have PCPA, who are like biotech company. They came from Russia. And okay, I will not try even to repeat what they are doing, but it's related to some peptides and substances for cosmetic as well as medicine. But they won a grant, €1 million+ for their further development of their complicated name of the product. And yes, and they are also collaborating with Lithuanian company and Lithuanian universities, just to move forward. And of course, even those are not only success stories. We have also the hardware, Agritech, which came in also 2018. Now they are already having the fully created product and already in a very deep negotiation with the Nordic countries, just to scale their product to these countries. So I could tell more and more because we really have success stories, but I think it's not enough time for me to tell everything that I know about startup visa startups.
Thanks, Sigita. We have one question for investors. In this COVID time, is it possible to invest on a startup miles away? Are you listening to startup pitches online? Thomas, maybe you could answer.
Yes, we're listening. We probably gonna finish the first investment without seeing founders physically in January or February. At least we made a decision without seeing founders physically. Yeah, so it is possible, but of course it's much harder to do than because still this is about long-term relationship. Yeah, so this is the same as getting engaged through the Zoom. Yeah, so you look at Roberta, say, oh, she's nice. Roberta, do you like me? Yes, let's get engaged. So it's kind of complicated, even if I like her. Yeah, you need to live for a little bit, to breathe the same air, to feel the same energy. So I would say that from the day one you contact the fund till the investment, usually it's a dance of 4 months, let's say. Yeah, so probably then the fund will invest. They still would like to see you before they're gonna transfer money, but it doesn't mean that they stopped searching. Funds are always in the search of, according to their view on investment thesis, where to invest. Yeah, so therefore most of the funds have not stopped looking at the deal flow, so they still looking and are looking. But I believe that in terms of the investment, the decisions might be slower than usual ones.
But that's new reality. I think we moved so many things online, and it appears possible even to have a party online. So that's just new normal, and everything is.
Yeah, just maybe from my side, small recommendation maybe for the startups. As I say, the usual process is, I don't know, 4 months. Yeah. So it is important, at least for us, and I believe it's going to be for most of the investors, how you deliver according to your targets. Yeah. So if you come and while we talk, you deliver, I don't know, 30% of your whatever you drawn in Excel, then probably I need to calculate the 30% or 70% discount on your business plan, on your execution capabilities. Yeah. So make sure that then you start that journey and approach whatever you draw in the first 4 to 6 months, you feel quite comfortable that you're gonna execute it. I don't know, with 90% probability. Yeah. Because if it's gonna be the very big gap, then you're actually shooting yourself into your leg. Yeah. And then I would not recommend to start fundraising journey. So this is just maybe the small recommendation, for you and a hint.
Thanks a lot. And we are running out of time. So one last question. what is the biggest success story of startup in Lithuania? So I would definitely say Vinted. Yes, our first unicorn. Teslanet, great cybersecurity company, which already have more than 1,000 employees and are bootstrapping successfully. Maybe my colleagues would have something to add. Trafi, which operate very successfully in Berlin and scale further. TransferGo, fintech startup. So there are a bunch of those. And as we don't have more questions, I want to thank a lot my participants of this discussion. Thanks for your time, for your thoughts and suggestions. Thanks for the organizers of this event. It was a pleasure. I think it's our first time in Azerbaijan. And it's a pity we couldn't do it in real life, maybe next year or someday when we will get vaccines. So I wish everyone to be safe and to consider Lithuania as an entry point to Europe. And if you have any more questions, you can reach out to any of us directly or through Startup Lithuania. So thanks a lot and goodbye.